In the early hours of January 31st, 2017, a hotel guest heard a chilling sound. 6 gunshots echoing in the night. They called hotel security, and security called the police.
Sheriff's office. I had a desk call me and tell me that they heard multiple gunshots. So I grabbed my key and I went down there and I knocked 3 different times like I was supposed to. And all I did was put the key in the door, open the door, and I see her laying halfway in the bathroom, him laying in the bed, and everything's covered in blood. One's in the bed and one's on the floor.
How many gunshots did you hear?
They said 5 to 7.
Did they look dead to you?
Yes, ma'am.
The victims were 2 women, and the killer was nowhere to be seen. It wouldn't take long for the police to identify a suspect, William Billy Boyette, and this double murder would progress into a week-long manhunt and a killing spree. But why? Over the investigation, a conflicting picture emerged.
Alicia got mad because he supposedly cheated on her with some girl.
Okay.
But he never mentioned the girl's name, that she was going to be dealt with. He was going to hurt her.
What did she tell you about him?
There were a couple times he tried to kill her.
I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, I know he done killed somebody, so now he's hiding and he's going to be hiding.
Certain things I'd be interested in is whether Mary was there or not.
What was Billy's relationship with the women he'd killed in the first hotel? And what did this woman, Mary Rice, have to do with it? Was she his accomplice or his next victim? In a twisted story of fragmented relationships, drug dealing, and kidnapping, with the help of exclusive interview footage, let's piece together what really happened between Billy Boyette and Mary Rice.
The staff member found murder victims Alicia Greer and Jacqueline Moore in a room registered in Moore's name.
But I just couldn't understand that my mom was dead.
Ford Edge and put them into Peggy Rose's car, leaving the Ford Edge abandoned in the parking lot.
She was sitting leaning up against the dresser with her legs under the crib. She was facing the crib.
This case takes us to Milton, Florida, the county seat of Santa Rosa County. It's a peaceful town close to Pensacola. And in temperate January 2017, none of its residents suspected it would soon become the center of a shocking crime spree. This included the guest at the Emerald Sands Inn, woken up by a sound they never expected to hear that night: gunshots. Security went into the room and discovered 2 dead bodies, those of 39-year-old Jacqueline Moore and 30-year-old Alicia Greer. The scene was a mess. There was blood all over the bed sheets and splattered over the wall and the bathroom floor. Both women had been shot dead. The investigators started looking into these women's known associates, and they didn't have to look far. Alicia Greer had an on-again, off-again boyfriend, a 44-year-old man named Billy Boyette. Her relationship with him was tumultuous, to say the least. They'd started dating a few months earlier, around Thanksgiving 2016. In that time, she'd accused him of behaving abusively more than once, even putting her in the hospital. This made him a prime suspect in Alicia's murder.
Alicia Greer was beaten so bad by Boyette, she ended up in the hospital just 10 days before she was killed.
With Billy nowhere to be found, the investigators instead contacted another of his girlfriends, Bethany Lutz. They'd started dating in September 2016 and broke up that same November, around the same time he got together with Alicia.
Any particular reason or what happened with y'all's relationship?
He started doing dope and he got abusive and I couldn't stick around. I couldn't handle it. I felt like it was either stay and maybe lose my life one day or leave, and I left.
Okay. So you said he started doing dope. What kind of dope was he doing?
Ice.
Anything else?
He smoked spice, but it's the ice that makes him crazy.
Okay. You said that he started getting abusive. Tell me about that.
The first time I was sitting on the toilet in the bathroom and he come in and hit me in the head. I don't even remember when it was over.
So he just came in and hit you in the head?
Yeah. And then there's been other times he blacked both my eyes. He's broke my nose. He split my lip the last time. This is when I finally left.
A picture was emerging of Billy as a violent man.
Was there any repercussions of breaking up with him or anything like that, or?
He showed his ass there for a while. He'd show up at the house, or he'd call or text and tell me I better answer the phone or he's gonna come out there.
He wasn't a stranger to making threats, but he hadn't acted on them, at least not toward Bethany.
Okay, so last time you talked to him, when was that?
That was the day before yesterday.
So Monday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, about what time?
2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And you talked to him on the phone?
Yes, ma'am. And I also talked to his girlfriend, Alicia, too.
Alicia?
I had never spoken with her before, but he put her on the phone with me, and he was telling me to tell her don't lie or it makes it worse, and don't run or it makes it worse.
Bethany had managed to leave Billy, but it seemed Alicia was still trapped in the cycle on Monday, January 30th, the day before she was murdered. The investigators knew this was significant.
He told me, he said, look, I want you to tell Alicia, it's not good to lie. What happens if you lie? And I said, you get your ass beat.
Okay. And when he told you that, at that point in time, he handed the phone to Alicia?
I don't know if he handed it to her or had it on speakerphone. And then he also said, he told Alicia, he said, see this girl right here, she can at least run some game. He said, you're a retarded slow.
Here's some notes. So he told her that she was a retard?
Yeah.
How do you know it was Alicia in the car with him?
I don't know if they were in a car or where they was. All I know is I talked to him on the phone and I know it was Alicia. He said talk to Alicia for a minute, and he told me that, I don't know how true it is, he said that he had touched her face up and it stabbed her and she had reported him. And then all of a sudden the testimonies changed and they said that they just thought that the suspect looked like him, but it wasn't him. So in other words, he was saying, well, that he beat her or whatever.
So on the phone, he said that he had her face, you said?
Yeah, he told me that he had her face and he had stabbed her. Okay. But he said that it had been reported and the cops didn't do anything about it. And I don't know exactly why they didn't do anything. All I know is he said that it had been reported and he was laughing because he got away with it.
On January 19th, Billy had apparently attacked Alicia, beating and choking her, holding her hostage, and stealing her car. She went to the hospital and reported the incident to the police. When she was discharged from the hospital, she stayed with her mom for a few days. But it wasn't enough to keep Billy away. Now it seemed he wanted Bethany to help convince Alicia to drop the charges. Bethany, scared of her ex-boyfriend, did what she could and got off the phone. She did shed light on the couple's conflicts, however. She knew that Billy was into the drugs trade.
He told me that she had stole $2,000 from him in spice. That was a couple weeks back.
Where do you think he'd be right now?
I'm going to be honest. I don't think that Billy, like I said, Billy's very smart. I don't think that he would stick around here, knowing that, because he's not stupid, he's going to know that y'all are looking for him. And I don't think that he's going to be anywhere around here.
You said you can't remember anybody that was telling you that he had gotten a gun back in December?
I can't remember exactly who it was. I just know that some people had messaged me and said that Billy had a gun, to be careful.
The pieces were falling together. Billy Boyette had a gun, a vendetta, and a history of violence, specifically toward his girlfriend, Alicia. A witness had also spotted him outside the hotel room that same night. It was becoming clear that he was the one who'd killed her. As for Jacqueline Moore, she was a friend of Alicia's who'd been keeping her company at the hotel as Alicia hid from Billy. She'd simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time. And now, Billy was on the run. His mother had rented a dark-colored SUV, which had been seen at Emerald Sands Inn on the night of the murder. She'd rented it in Alicia's name. The police believe that this was the car he had escaped in, and they tracked it across state lines to Lillian, Alabama on February 3rd. And in Lillian, this case would transform from a single domestic murder into something far larger. 52-year-old mother Peggy Brose was coming home from a night shift at the Baptist Hospital in Pensacola after a long night working. It was about 7:15 a.m., and her husband was at home, asleep in bed. He wouldn't wake up until 8 a.m. But by then it was too late. Peggy was already dead. She was shot in the face in her own driveway, coming home, and her car was stolen. The dark-colored SUV was spotted leaving the scene. It was Billy who'd killed her, but he couldn't drive two cars at once. He had to have an accomplice. Billy had a past littered with criminal charges, including 2 other allegations of domestic violence. In 2014, a woman had accused him of hurting her and then retracted the statement. The same happened in 2015, when a woman called 911 and whispered that her boyfriend, Billy Boyette, was trying to kill her. But she had outstanding warrants against her, and she absconded before she could testify. The investigators talked to another of Billy's associates, a woman who'd known him most of his life. She'd driven him around a few days before the killings at the hotel, and said that Alicia had been angry with him because he'd been cheating on her.
Okay, he said that he got a hotel room at Emerald Sands a couple weeks before he asked us to drive him, and Alicia came and met him, and then she left and that girl came, and then Alicia came back and caught her.
Caught her with him?
Yeah.
And you don't know who this girl is?
He never said no name.
Despite Billy's long and violent history, he kept starting new relationships. Who was this other woman? Was she involved in his crimes? Maybe not. On February 3rd, the same day as the murder of Peggy Brose, and 3 days after the killings at the hotel, a woman named Mary Rice was reported missing by her family. Many of her friends had contacted them after the Emerald Sands Inn shootings, fearing Mary had been one of the victims. This wasn't just paranoia. They had reason to be afraid. Mary was a known associate of Billy Boyette. More than that, she was his next girlfriend. The last text message Mary's family received from her was on February 1st at 2:18 p.m. She said she was okay and would come home by February 3rd. No one heard from her again, and when she didn't reappear, her family called the police. They thought Billy had kidnapped her, or worse. And it was true. Mary was with Billy. She was seen on a surveillance camera in Crestview, Florida, in a Walmart. She bought a sleeping bag, hand warmers, and 2 boxes of ammunition. This could have been to defend herself. Maybe she was on the run, fearing she was next. But Billy was only waiting in the car outside. Further surveillance footage captured the two driving around together in Lillian, first in the dark-colored SUV, and then later in Peggy Brose's stolen white Concorde. The dark-colored SUV was found abandoned about 3 miles from Peggy's home. Mary Rice was now a person of interest in the case of Billy Boyette. But was she an accomplice or a hostage? Born in 1979, 37-year-old Mary Rice was a Florida native. The mother of 3 kids, she worked at the local Dollar General and didn't have much going on in her life. Her brother was in prison, as was her friend Herman. She wrote to them regularly. And then, someone else got in touch. Billy was in prison with Herman and her brother.
I even have the letter that, they sent me from the jail. He seems like a good guy, you won't ride him. So I wrote him a couple times. Well, I talked to my brother on the phone one day, and from prison, and he said, quit riding him. You need to end ties with him.
Mary's brother knew Billy was bad news. She did as she said and told Herman to tell Billy she wouldn't speak to him anymore.
Well, when Billy got out, he kept trying to contact me and stuff and everything. But we really didn't have.
Did he try to contact you over the social media or by phone or?
Facebook. He comes over, found out where I stayed. He came over with breakfast. He was really nice. I didn't know what to do. I'm there in my house by myself. you know. So I let him in.
Do you recall what day that was?
Just a couple of days prior to all this. I mean, literally, just a couple of days prior to all this.
Billy went from pen pal to an active presence in Mary's life, and things were soon to escalate.
Then he called me with some crazy stuff or whatever, and I was like, well, I didn't understand any of it, and started off the phone with him. I went to sleep. Then I don't know, I'd been asleep for a while. I'm not real sure what time it was, but it was still nighttime. He come to banging on the door, and the door, my door is not a very good door. Okay, you bang on it, and it's gonna open. And he came in, and he had blood on the side of his head, and he was like freaking out, pacing the floors, and he had a gun, and he held it at me, and he told me to grab some things. And then he leave.
According to Mary, Billy hustled her out of the house at gunpoint and told her to get into his car, the dark-colored SUV.
Now, do you recall what day that was?
I have no idea. No, I don't. I mean, he had me for so long. In the woods, out of the woods. Just going into stores, pointing guns at me. I know.
All right, where did you go from there?
From there, we went riding and stopped to pay for some gas. And the way he was positioned, he had the gun, and I know he could see me in the store. And he already had blood on the side, on his head.
So he made you go in and pay for the gas?
He kept saying it was an accident, it was an accident, it was an accident, and then he'd go quiet. And then he just had this wild animal look to him.
Billy made Mary go into stores to buy gas, ammunition, and other supplies. His accomplice at gunpoint, she said she had no choice.
He makes this little drink thing, I don't know what he puts in it. He makes me drink it and it knocks me out.
He got violent when she didn't do what he said, or even when she did.
You actually stopped and paid the toll?
He did.
Okay.
He was, then he was mad. And then he was hitting on me again. Saying it was all my fault. We were on camera.
What was your fault, dear?
Oh, all this is my fault. Is what he kept telling me. He kept telling me he was going to kill my kids. All he had to do was make a phone call. He was going to kill me if I didn't do what he said.
Take a deep breath, Mary. You're okay right now. Just take a deep breath.
He's a monster. He was serious. This man was serious. He's serious. He's a monster. He's serious about everything he says. Everything he says, he's serious.
Billy used threats and drugs to control Mary, his unwilling partner in his escape from Florida. She said they camped out in the woods for a while. Then Billy realized they needed a new ride. They were fatefully close to the house of Peggy Bros.
He drives down this little spot. He'd already scoped this thing out or something. And I don't know, he comes back with a white car. He was gone 5 minutes.
So he goes off with the dark SUV and comes back with a white car?
Yes.
Where did he leave you?
He left me duct taped to a tree.
Mary said she had nothing to do with the murder of Peggy Bros, that Billy went off without her to change the cars, killing Peggy and coming back in a 5-minute window. But neighbors saw both cars leaving the scene, the SUV and Peggy's white Concorde. Billy couldn't have driven both of them. Mary had to be involved. She said that Billy made her drive him back to where he'd left the SUV to abandon it.
What's the first thing you remember when you started driving?
a gun in the side.
Then they escaped back to Florida. She said they got a flat tire on the Concorde, and Billy started getting antsy about needing a new vehicle again. This was how they arrived in Pensacola, on the hunt for a new car in an escalating spree of killings. 28-year-old Kayla Crocker had no idea what was coming. Born in Pennsylvania, she lived in Florida since she was a teenager, and she was the mother of two, a 6-year-old daughter and an 18-month-old son. On fateful February 6th, Kayla didn't turn up at work, and she didn't drop her son off at his daycare. Fearing the worst, her family investigated and found her in her house, murdered.
But she wasn't laying, she was sitting. She was sitting leaning up against the dresser with her legs under the crib. She was facing the crib.
Kayla had been tied up with shoelaces and a white rope and shot in the head. She was still alive when her mother found her, but she died in the hospital shortly afterwards.
Roseanne, a lot of pain now for 4 different families here on the Gulf Coast. Now, Kayla Crocker was just 28 years old, a mother of 2 children, a 2-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. Now, the boy was actually at home when Boyette allegedly shot her.
Her toddler son had been in his crib the whole time, in the same room as his mother was murdered. Mary and Billy had been spotted on a local man's game camera the day before, only a few miles away from Kayla's trailer. The police also found Peggy's stolen Concorde abandoned near Kayla's home, and her own white Chevy Cobalt was missing. This was the same MO, shooting a woman in the head to steal her car. Mary maintained that she hadn't had an active role in the crime.
He made a cross, makes me go around the trailer. I know it was a girl because I heard her, yell what later. Car was started. Throws me in it, okay, takes the keys, follows her inside. I hear a gunshot.
So, was she outside when you guys first got there?
I know. It
Because
was,
you said
like she started the car and went inside.
Okay. But you said he followed her inside.
Yes.
I mean, did you see her? Did you see her go into the house?
I didn't. No.
Okay.
I didn't. But I heard a woman.
Okay. What else did you hear?
What did you hear? How do you know this woman? What did you hear?
I heard I have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom. I have to go to work with my mom.
Something about her mother?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get out these freaking doors. But, he said shot me in the back. And I got these blankets, that I'm carrying with this weapon in it and everything. Well, the doors aren't opening from the back, and I'm trying to maneuver my way to get to the front to see if I can get out the front. By then I heard a gunshot go off and out in the car he is and started up and we're gone.
How do you know it's a gunshot? Right?
Because it sounds like one.
Okay. Just one?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
Might have been 2, but I heard one.
That's okay. So after you hear what you think's a gunshot, then
He's out the door.
he comes running out of the house. What's he wearing?
The sweatpants and camouflage shirt that got him.
A camouflage shirt. Okay. And then does he get into the car or?
Yeah, he gets in the car. We go, can you get gas? There's a Hardee's right next door.
Okay.
Right next door, because we got breakfast. Okay, he let me eat. I couldn't eat at all because my stomach is shrinking.
Mary, slow down just a second, okay?
Okay.
Let's go back to the gas station where you got the gas. Tell me about that.
Okay.
She said Billy fled the scene to another motel, this time in West Point, Georgia, but their crime spree had gone on long enough. The police discovered Kayla's Chevy parked outside the motel the next day, February 7th, and they tried to arrest Mary and Billy. Mary surrendered, but Billy did not. Moments after Mary gave herself up, The police heard a gunshot from inside the room. Billy had shot himself rather than give himself up to the police. The killing spree was over, but with Billy dead, only Mary could tell the police what her involvement in the crimes had really been. Was she an accomplice, or was she a victim? She insisted that she was a victim. The police pressed her on the inconsistencies in her story, like the switching of cars after Peggy's murder.
All of those memories that you have right there are from the exact point where you heard the gunshot. You weren't tied to a tree. Were you in the car then when you heard the gunshot in the black car?
No, I was not. I was not in the car. I was not. I was close by, but I was not in the car. Someone else was with him. He met somebody. I don't know who. They had masks. Full mask.
Now she claimed there was a third person involved in the spree.
Just look at me and let's be honest with each other right now. There wasn't a third person there then. It was just you and Billy, right?
Right.
Okay.
In my head.
And then when you guys got to it's actually a food tiger where the parking lot was. There's surveillance of both you guys, Billy getting out of the white car and unloading stuff out of the black car. You getting out of the black car and helping to move stuff from the black car to the white car as well, and then you both getting in the white car and leaving.
Yeah, and you see where he gets mad at me.
So like I said, there was never a third person was there.
No.
Okay. Why did you tell me that?
Mary's story began to unravel. She revealed she'd lied about the murder of Kayla Crocker, too. She'd actually gone inside the house.
You said something about tying her up.
Yeah, he told me to tie her up. I said, I'm to tie her up. He's like, you know, he hits me, and you know, I get to where I'm almost out the door with the stuff, you know, and I was gonna keep running if I could get out the door. You know what I mean? And he stops me there, and he says, pick up that rope and give it to me. And I'm looking at the girl and I say, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
She admitted that she'd been inside the house and she'd helped Billy tie Kayla up, but she maintained that she'd done it under duress.
So you didn't help tie her up at all?
In the back, I tied a little bow, I mean, to where she could get out.
Okay,
Where she could get out.
Did he ask
Come
you?
on now, you know what I mean?
The investigators weren't convinced.
With gun, no doubt.
They'll never hurt anybody ever again.
Mary, each one of us as an investigator, we're worried about your family as much as we're worried about the victims that we're here representing and their family. We care as much about your family as we do about those individuals out there as well. Billy cannot hurt you anymore. Billy cannot hurt your family anymore. But sometimes we make mistakes, and we have to own up to those mistakes.
But Mary didn't own up to anything. The investigators turned to her known associates.
See, Mary Rice is my cousin through marriage. And the whole deal with this Billy Boyette, and I've heard so many stories with her being missing, then her being involved. And
She's not missing. We have pictures of them together in stores, out in the woods.
And she's actually involved in it?
She doesn't look like she's under any duress. She's walking away from him in the store, driving a separate car.
I know Mary, and I just don't see her being okay with murdering people.
But the police didn't agree. They charged her as an accomplice in Billy's crimes, and she was taken to court on counts of first-degree murder and accessory after the fact to first-degree murder. While in prison awaiting her trial, she wrote several letters to friends, family, and boyfriends. On February 14, 2017, she wrote, "I did meet a true monster, and thank God I lived through it. I do not deserve to be locked in this cage." She also wrote to one man, "I will be home this year, a lot sooner than everyone thinks. Just sit back, watch my magic work." But at trial, Mary didn't work any magic. The prosecutors revealed text messages between her and Billy from January.
From Mary Rice to William Boyette. The date is again January 10th, 2017. It says, "I need them, keeps me from wanting to kill people."
Next.
It wasn't clear what this referred to, but it didn't portray Mary as innocent or harmless. The jury was asked to weigh the evidence of Mary and Billy's ongoing relationship and the many opportunities she'd had to escape during their time on the run. The prosecution also brought in the interview footage of many of the pair's associates, including Billy's many criminal associates who were still in prison. One of them told the police how Billy had bought a gun from another friend and how Mary had been involved.
But he did say that he resided with Mary and Boyette at that Mary's house.
Yeah, he said it's even on his, when he was on probation, that's where his address was residing at.
Mary and Billy had apparently been living together, and he didn't keep her away from his criminal associates. Far from an innocent abductee, she seemed to have been embedded in his criminal business. While on the run, she said he'd made her handle his drugs, getting high every day and drugging her so she wouldn't escape. Whether she was used to dealing with his drugs or not, there had been no real danger of her escaping, because she was a willing participant in the crimes. The jury found her guilty of murder in the first degree and accessory after the fact, pertaining to all 4 murders. They determined that she hadn't fired a shot herself, but she was guilty nonetheless. She was sentenced to life in prison for the murder and 30 years consecutive for accessory after the fact on September 28, 2018.
Sentence. Count 1 of the indictment, I'm going to adjudicate her guilty. I'm going to sentence her to life in state prison. She'll have $518 in court cost. She will get credit for 577 days in jail. On count 2, I'm going to adjudicate her guilty. I'm going to sentence her to 30 years state prison. That'll be consecutive to count 1. That'll be the judgment sentence, or she'll get credit for 577 days. That'll be the judgment sentence of the court. She has 30 days in which she can appeal. If she cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed.
The Court of Appeals a year later upheld her sentence. Billy Boyette was a bloodthirsty killer who strung a trail of women along after him. He killed Alicia Greer because of drugs, or because he didn't want her to testify against him. Jacqueline Moore was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Then he went to Mary Rice for help, and she agreed to help him. And the 2-state murder spree began. As of 2018, Mary Rice has yet to be tried for the killing of Peggy Brose in Alabama. It's unclear whether charges are still pending. She remains in prison to this day, while Billy Boyette died without ever facing a courtroom. What do you think about this horrifying story? How far was Mary really involved in the spree? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we'll see you very soon on the Decoder.